Welcome friends. This session analyzes certain philosophical aspects in Aurobindo's philosophy, evolution and involution. Introduction. Sri Aurobindo occupies a prominent position in contemporary philosophy. His journey from militant nationalism to spirituality stirred his metaphysical vision, which manifested in the philosophy of integration. He asserted the two negations, materialistic denial and the refusal of the ascetic. Sri Aurobindo's philosophy integrates both materialism and spiritualism. According to him, the emphasis of materialist regarding the monism of matter and negation of spiritualist are one-sided and incomplete. Therefore, he developed the concepts of evolution and involution, that is, evolution of matter to spirit and correspondingly involution from spirit to matter. According to him, matter and spirit are two sides of the same coin, both are integrated and inseparable. The present study analyzes these aspects by a thorough evaluation of the concepts of evolution and involution and the principles related to it. The fundamental queries raised in this analysis to find a proper response are the following. Number 1, what is integralism? Number 2, what are the essential features of evolution? Number 3, what are the peculiarities of involution? Number 4, why the philosophy of Aurobindo is called integral yoga? Number 5, what are the essential aspects of spirit of reconciliation which becomes the guiding principle of his metaphysics? Number 6, why the concept of supermind occupies a prominent position in the philosophy of Sri Aurobindo? Number 7, what is the aim of Sri Aurobindo's yoga? Reality. He conceives reality as essentially spiritual and at the same time assigns equal importance to matter in it. It could be seen that Sri Aurobindo has developed the notion of Brahman from a wider sphere. According to him, in the cosmic consciousness, there is a merging of matter and spirit where both are conceived as real. This omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient reality from the limited perspective is unknowable. The absolute is a supracosmic reality and at the same time it is also the cosmic reality, the becoming. The being is one, but this oneness is infinite and contains in itself an infinite plurality or multiplicity of itself. The one is the all, it is the not only an essential existence, but an all existence. His analysis of being is very unique and wonderful. Reality is one, but creation is manifested with the help of principles of unity and multiplicity. According to him, there are chords of being which are the expression of reality viewed from the point of view of creation. Chords of being. Sri Aurobindo analyzes the chords of being with the help of principles enclosed in two hemispheres, upper hemisphere and lower hemisphere. Existence, consciousness, force, bliss and supermind belong to upper hemisphere and mind, psyche, life and matter belong to the lower hemisphere. According to Sri Aurobindo, the divine descends from the pure existence through the play of consciousness force and bliss and the creative medium of supermind into cosmic being. The best way to represent reality is through three principles: pure existence, consciousness force and bliss. That is why it is described as Satchidananda. This implies that reality is not only a conscious existence, but a supreme intelligence and force with supreme bliss. Pure existence. In Vedanta, pure existence is conceived as a transcending stage which goes beyond avasthatraya. Sri Aurobindo has almost same view of reality, but demonstrates it in a different way. According to him, human beings will have a feeling of boundless energy which transcends the space, time and their egoistic domains. Sri Aurobindo feels that this philosophical insight has further reflected through pure reason. At this stage, individual rises to a higher level where subject object duality is transcended. He says that It is very difficult to describe it in terms of language. In the Life Divine, Sri Aurobindo asserts that reality is indefinable, infinite, beyond spatio-temporal limitations, and it is the pure absolute. Taking it into account of empirical sphere, Sri Aurobindo makes a distinction between empirical existence and trans-empirical existence. According to Sri Aurobindo, these two are different ways of looking at pure existence. Initial insight and rational analysis are comprehended. Consciousness force. Sri Aurobindo justifies the existence of consciousness in all forms of the force working in the world, that is, force is inherent in all existence. Sri Aurobindo analyzes the relation between pure existence and force and the nature of this force. There is an inseparable relation between existence and force. This force has the double potentiality of rest and movement. The force of existence passes through the modes of self-concentration and self-diffusion, which are respectively rest and motion. According to Sri Aurobindo, all levels of movement reflects a conscious energy. This conscious force is conceived as a comprehensive principle which is known as Chit. Such a conception has been given by ancient Indian philosophy, especially the Vedanta system. This principle behind the world process is called the Mother or the Divine Shakti. The Mother mediates between man and nature, creates the universe and links it with the Supreme. Bliss. The Supreme is Sat, Chit and Ananda. The conception of the Absolute does not require any need to express itself in different forms. The Absolute is not limited or bound or compelled by anything. It does not lack or want anything. It is out of sheer joy or delight that creation takes place. Creation is described as the ecstatic dance of Shiva, and the purpose is nothing but the joy of dancing. In the Life Divine, Sri Aurobindo asserts that self-delight or bliss of Satchidananda is limitless and is expressed in every aspect of existence and conscious activities. While discussing the bliss aspect of Satchidananda, there naturally arises the question of evil. Sri Aurobindo explains this with the help of Maya, the supermind. It is the link between higher and lower hemisphere. It is called the creator and the supreme truth consciousness. The supermind has the faculty to differentiate and not to divide the principle of relativity. The unitary nature of the consciousness is never affected. The supermind has the consciousness of non-dual reality and can project this consciousness in creation. Sri Aurobindo conceives that supermind as the creative principle which is capable of explaining unity and its development. According to Sri Aurobindo, the supermind is the vast extension of Brahman that contains and develops. Creation starts when the supermind differentiates the original unity of the three principles. Supermind does not create divisions and does not give false pictures. It never misses the real unitary nature of the one, and therefore, it has been called truth consciousness. Supermind is the culmination and consummation of mind. When mind creates divisions between knower and known, the supermind retains the unitary nature of reality. Sri Aurobindo says that mind is a fall from supermind. Sri Aurobindo speaks of triple status of supermind. According to him, there are three general poises of supermind: unity of things, modification of unit, further modified state of diversified individuality. These status of supermind has a definite relation with the world process. The primary poise of supermind is a state of pure creation, a state which is ready for the expression of this consciousness into multiplicity. In the second state, multiplicity appears and in this unity is perceived. In the third state, multiplicity is fully expressed. In all these stages, The tendency towards unity is always there, because consciousness of unity represents the basic character of supermind. Supermind 3 poises. Number 1, Karanavastha or the causal state. Number 2, Karyavastha or the state of effect. Number 3, Purna Vyakta Avastha or the fully manifested state. Triple transformation. Sri Aurobindo speaks of triple transformation in the context of supermind psychic, spiritual and supramental. Psychic transformation is the awakening of the permanent and imperishable aspect of our being. Such a process will be very slow. Its initial appearance of the surface is obscure, hence a discipline is required to manifest it. It awakens the soul. By spiritual transformation, matter, life and mind are purified and there will be apprehension of non-dual reality. In the state of supramental transformation, the higher reaches of consciousness are realized. This will cause a whole change of terrestrial existence. Man will become agnostic beings and life will become a divine life. Mind. In Sri Aurobindo's conception of movement from mind to supermind is very significant. It is not abrupt or sudden. Mind belongs to the lower hemisphere and has to ascend to the higher sphere. This takes place through the following steps: higher mind, illumined mind, intuitive mind and overmind. Mind functions in the sensory level. It perceives, senses or conceives things by analyzing them into component parts. Reality cannot be known by such a process. Mind has to rise above its normal activities and cultivate a higher capacity for realizing unity. Higher mind. Mind must be aware of its own capacities and exercise some control over them. The emergence of such a raised level of mind is higher mind. It is self-awareness activity towards integration which is beyond all analytical activities or inferences. Truths are not established by logic and they are realized in their wholeness. There is an attempt to break away from logic and rational analysis. But the mind at this stage is not free from empirical and rational realm, so it has to ascend to the next higher stage. Illumined mind. It is a mind which goes above the faculty of higher mind. It is primarily guided by vision. It brings greater consciousness through its realizing faculty. Illumined mind transforms and fulfills vision. It can effect a more powerful dynamic integration. It brings spiritual urge and spiritual insight that activates life. It brings a transforming power to the physical mind which breaks its limitations, inertia and narrow thought. Intuitive mind. At this stage, mind has higher power of consciousness. It is the beginning of knowledge as it is closely linked to the higher spiritual realm. In Life Divine, fourfold potencies of intuition are discussed in detail. They are the power of inspiration, power of truth seeing, power of truth touch and power of discrimination. Sri Aurobindo says, it is the capacity to see truth and to hear it in its organized form in an act of direct and immediate revelation. Intuition cannot be considered as the higher form of consciousness. Intuition is reflected by the intervention of mental faculties. Intuitive flashes are quick and short-lived that it is difficult to comprehend the knowledge of it. Its interpretations are often intercepted or replaced. Therefore, a higher level of mind is sought. The overmind. It is often described as superconscient cosmic mind which is in contact with the supermind. There is a vertical ascent and horizontal expansion of consciousness. Overmind performs the mental activities in a spiritual manner. It is capable of reflecting the universal light. It lacks the integral character of supermind. It views every power of the Supreme as a separate reality. The dichotomy of Prakriti and Purusha is a creation of our mind. This is the last stage in the lower hemisphere that mind can attain before evolving into the higher sphere of supermind. With reference to involution, it can be said that with it the realm of ignorance begins. Life. Life is a form of cosmic energy or current. It is actually a constant act or play of the force which build up forms. There is no essential difference between life in plants, animals or men. Everywhere the same birth, growth and death can be seen. Thus, life is a universal organization of conscious force acting subconsciously in matter. Life is an intermediate link between matter and mind. Three stages of life are recognized: material, vital and mental. The first stage is mechanical and later is on the verge of consciousness. In the highest state, life develops conscious mentality. It is not a separate entity like mind. Matter. It is the culmination of the principle of ignorance and the culmination of bondage to mechanical law. It is also the culmination of the principle of division and struggle. Matter is the last stage known in the progress of pure substance towards a basis of cosmic reality. Matter and spirit are the two extremes of involution and evolution respectively. There is a possibility of infinite gradation as form and essence, ignorance, knowledge and so on. Gnostic being. Aurobindo's conception of evolution gives a detailed account of transition from matter to spirit. This would involve a total spiritualization of mundane nature. There will be supramental men, men of knowledge. The Gnostic being shall be governed by universal spirit. Such a being will have complete self-knowledge and complete self-mastery. They will have complete knowledge and hold of all existence. Its consciousness is integral and therefore it would harmonize and unify apparent diversities. In the Life Divine, Sri Aurobindo describes the character of Gnostic being as having complete self-knowledge in all things with complete self-mastery in the sense of a power of perfect self-expression in nature. Gnostic being transcends all barriers and becomes one with the infinite. The supramental transformation carries life, mind and body beyond themselves into a greater and higher being. It can be inferred that Gnostic being is a person with an entirely changed and spiritual outlook. The concept of Jivan Mukta and Gnostic being appear to be identical. Jivan Mukta is a person who attains liberation in the bodily state itself. As embodied, he is very much in the phenomenal world, but as a liberated being, he belongs very much to the transcendental world. Once he is out of this state, he attains the status of Videha Mukti. He is completely emancipated from the cycle of births and rebirths. Whereas the Gnostic being makes himself one with the creative impetus and works for the emergence of the divine life on earth. According to Sri Aurobindo, it is not a new state or existence. Various thinkers suggest different notions regarding the nature of Gnostic being and Jivan Mukta. It can be summed up in the following way. All Gnostic being are Jivan Mukta, but all Jivan Muktas are not Gnostic being. The divine life. The Gnostic being works for the transformation of others. Sri Aurobindo's vision is not mere individual liberation and perfection in an unchanged environmental existence. What is required is the emergence of divine life on earth. Such a life could envisage a race of supramental Gnostic individuals or a race of supermen. In such a life, there will be self-aware existence and complete self-possession. The full delight of being is another feature of divine life, where the Superman transcends not only their individual existence, but also the universe. The individual can find his true existence by living in inwardness. There will be intimate consciousness of others and he will be performing his actions with such awareness. Life becomes a life of supreme consciousness and joy. Gnostic being lives for divine, and Sri Aurobindo's social and political philosophy is based on this fundamental essence of all existence. Both men and nature aim at divine. His speculations about the future destiny of man is consistent with his integral philosophy. All differences of the mental level are reconciled and unity, reciprocity and harmony are realized. Unity and harmony of the society can be attained through inner universal transcendent principle. As a man develops, he becomes more and more free. But individual freedom is not contrary to universal interest. His aim is to perfect man from physical, mental and vital being by transcending towards higher value. Spirituality alone can solve our individual and social problems. Integral Yoga. The ultimate destiny of evolution is divine life. This could be achieved by yoga, which literally means union. It is the union of matter and spirit or spirit and matter. This is explained with the notions of evolution and involution. Evolution is actually a leap into the spirit. Yoga is required for this. It is also essential to liberate the beings from bondage. The life process itself is yoga because activities are performed unconsciously without awareness of its aims and purpose. The aim is to manifest the divine consciousness in us. It is a kind of spiritual self-manifestation. Our yoga is a double movement of ascent and descent. According to Sri Aurobindo, integral yoga thus aims the divine transformation of the whole of the embodied existence and also includes Sarvamukti or the collective liberation of mankind. Yoga demands the cultivation of some special faculties and it is not easily accessible by everybody. Sri Aurobindo does not stress much to the yogic exercises like pranayama or asana. It is the inner yoga requiring some disciplines of purification and spiritualization which everyone can practice. Yoga aims at the spiritualization of even the not self and not the discriminating knowledge of self and not self as in Patanjali Yoga. Sri Aurobindo does not reject the physical but to illuminate the physical with the supramental light. Psychicization, spiritualization and supramentalization are the aspects involved in yoga which are essentially internal aspects. As a result of this, there will be universalization and transcendentalization of consciousness which results in the expansion and identity of consciousness to the divine. What is unique to Sri Aurobindo's yoga is the total transformation of every aspects of being. That is why it is called integral, which transforms physical, mental and vital aspects. Now, let us summarize what we have discussed in this session. Sri Aurobindo's philosophy is noted for its integral approach in linking matter and spirit. There is materialization of spirit and spiritualization of matter. He emphasizes the whole man, the man together with the nature and spirit which equally manifest in man, world and God. There is nothing outside the absolute. Man is as much real as God. Spiritual experience is the life breath of all true philosophy and also its culmination. Sri Aurobindo's yoga synthesizes all types of yoga and arrive at a complete technique to realize reality in its integrity. There will revelation of true nature of spirituality. Through his spiritual evolution, Sri Aurobindo finds a harmonious synthesis of individual and society. His philosophy is the need of the time. It is an integral synthesis of old and new, east and west, realism and idealism, pragmatism and spiritualism. Now, there are some questions for you to work out. Number 1, explain the nature of evolution in Sri Aurobindo. Number 2, explain the concept of supermind. Number 3, discuss the nature of world and creation in Sri Aurobindo's thought. Number 4, what is integral yoga? Number 5, explain the nature of gnostic being. Number 6, distinguish between integral yoga and Patanjali's yoga. There are some books for your reference. Number 1, The Life Divine, Sri Aurobindo, published by Greystone Press, 1949. Number 2, Basis of Yoga, Sri Aurobindo, published by Arya Publishing House, 1948. Number 3, Synthesis of Yoga, Sri Aurobindo, published by Sri Aurobindo Birth Centenary Library, 1948. Number 4, Contemporary Indian Philosophy, Lal Basant Kumar, published by Motilal Banarsidass, 2010. Number 5, A Critical Survey of Indian Philosophy, Chandradhar Sharma, published by Motilal Banarsidass, 1987. Hope you have enjoyed the session. Thank you.